A very good afternoon to everyone present. My name is Ankita Yadav, member in Industry Institute Interface Committee. Welcome you all to come together and create one more memorable event for the year 2021. As a part of student development and establishing Academy and Corporate Connect, IMDR continuously organizes guest lectures, seminars, webinars, panel discussion. Today amongst us we have experts from academia and industry to discuss and share their experience and knowledge on the topic of business analytics. Business analytics as a discipline has undergone tremendous achievements advancement in recent years. With ever-changing myriad tools, technologies available for data analysis and interpretation, the role of business analytics opens up several career avenues for management graduates. Hence, IMDR has organized a panel discussion to help our students to understand the world of data, analyst, big data, and the science behind it. Dignitaries joining us for this panel discussion are Dr. Seema Purohit ma'am, Principal Biran Maharashtra College of Commerce, and Dr. C.B. Abraham, Professor, Center of Excellence in Analytics and Data Science, deemed to be University Mumbai. The discussion will be moderated by Dr. Prashant Upkar sir, Independent Technology Consultant and Visiting Faculty, IMDR. Moving towards the introduction, it's my privilege to introduce our esteemed panelist, Dr. Seema Purohit ma'am. She is a PhD in mathematics from University of Mumbai and PGDBA in Information Technology and Finance Management from MIT and MBA in Information Technology Management from Jaipur National University. With a rich experience of 30 years in the field, currently she is shouldering the responsibility of principal of BMCC. She is associated with data science for last 15 years, teaching various courses in business analytics as well as data science. She has so far guided 29 MPhil students and 10 PhD students, successfully worked extensively on research of decentration. She is a Research Council member, project consultant, biostatistician for research project of Association of Research in Homeopathy, and all multi-institutional projects taken by ARH, ICT, IIT, and University of Bangalore. She is the principal coordinator of CSR collaborative project titled Employment Focused Skill Development Program for Economically Weaker Students funded by Ravi Technologies. She has guided over 150 projects at postgraduate programming including MSc, MPhils, MCA, MA Leadership Science and MMS. She is a recipient of Outstanding Teacher in IT Awards. She was invited as an IT expert to speak on opportunities in IT twice on Doordarshan. She is a senior member on Internal Association of Computer Science and IT Singapore, Associated of Women's Engineering and ACM, and a council member of Deccan Education Society, life member of Indian Academy of Industrial Applications Mathematics, Indian Women Scientists Association, TSPM, Bharat Vikas Parishad, BVM, and Mumbai Mathematical Colloquium. Apart from all this, ma'am is a very kind and humble person. It is my honor to introduce such an illustrious personality. Ma'am, we look forward for your words of knowledge, wisdom, and guidance.
Thank
Now,
you so
I
much.
would thank you, ma'am. Now, I would request my colleague to introduce other panelists. Over to you, Amlan.
Thank you, Ankita. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Amlan Das Gupta, member of Junior Industry Institute Interface Committee. The second esteemed panelist amongst us is Professor Dr. C.B. Abraham. Speaking of Dr. C.B. Abraham's academic achievements, he has a master's degree in mathematics from Cochin University of Science and Technology and a PhD in computer science from University of Mumbai. He also has nearly 40 international research publications and they have been published in journals of high repute. He has been invited to deliver talks in 3 international conferences and more than 25 national conferences and workshops. He has played an integral part in organizing many international conferences, which includes being the co-chair of World Congress in Information and Communication Technology, jointly organized by University of Mumbai and Machine Intelligence Research Labs USA. Moving on, He was heading the Department of Mathematics and Statistics at Guru Nanak Khalsa College in Mumbai for 15 years prior to joining Narsi Munji Institute of Management Studies, commonly known as NMIMS. He was also a visiting faculty of computer science at the University of Mumbai for 20 years and was briefly associated with the academic activities in India of London School of Economics. He has been a part of the board of studies in more than 10 leading universities and autonomous institutions, which includes University of Mumbai. He has been chairperson and member of syllabus committee of PhD coursework, MPhil, MSc, and BSc in computer science of University of Mumbai. He was associated with many NGOs working on a social front. He is also a steering committee member of Barefoot Researchers Program, an unique initiative jointly conducted by Pukar and Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. On a final note, sir, we are grateful for your presence amongst us today. Thank you, and over to you, Madhura.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amlan. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Madhura Limaye, coordinator of Industry Institute Interface Committee. Welcome you all for today's panel discussion. Today, the third esteemed panelist amongst us is Dr. Prashant Dhopavkar, sir. In 1997, sir completed diploma in electrical engineering from Sardar Patel College of Engineering. He completed Master of Arts from Pune University. Further, he earned his doctorate in economics from Gokhale Institute of Economics and Political Science. Sir has expertise in economics, finance, IT, management space. He has over 23 years of experience, of which 20 years were in IT sector in multiple technological roles and responsibilities. He was active in banking, finance, financial institutions, and insurance space across the globe. He performed multiple roles in BFSI space during 16-year stint at Infosys Limited. Currently, he is working as an independent consultant for a technology firm and teaching as a visiting faculty at MIT, IMDR, and DY Patil Institutes. He has expertise in Greenfield Enterprise Data Warehouse implementation, stakeholder management, and knowledge management. He also has techno-functional expertise in solution definition to address business problems within regulatory timeframes. He is working and managing multiple large IT programs in risks and compliance management. He is certified as project management professional, business intelligence professional, and data warehouse professional. Sir, we are grateful for your presence amongst us today. Without further addition, I would request our guest to take over from here and share their thoughts with us. Over to you, sir and ma'am.
Thank you, Madhura. Uh, uh, it's really an honor actually to be part of such panel where we have such senior faculties along with us who have such rich experience working in different domains. Very interesting fact, both of them have higher education done in mathematics, which is one of the key areas, and I'm sure they will share us lot of insights how that has been helping them as well as a part of the career that they had related to business analytics and computer science in general. So, good afternoon, Sebi sir and Seema ma'am, all the faculties from IMDR and my dear students. Today we are here to discuss about the various career prospects that are there in business analytics field. See, the world is changing very fast, right? And it is world has always been changing, but the speed at which it is changing has immensely changed over last 20 years. We are seeing radical changes happening more or less in every sector, and that is the reason why it's not only about the industry adopting to those changes, but also the academia adopting to those changes and making sure that the students who are learning new things and they are ready to face the newer challenges when they are going to enter the market. Something that was learned over 15-20 years prior to today may not be as applicable today because the things around us have changed, right? So whenever the ecosystem changes, we all need to make changes, and that is what we are going to hear. And it's our privilege that we have such senior panelists here who would be sharing their thoughts about in general about business analytics and also primarily about the career prospects, because many of our students would be very keen to hear about that. Over to you, Seema ma'am, to share your initial thoughts on this.
Initially, I thank for inviting me for the panel discussion. It is always said that an interaction with the like-minded people always gives you an edge over your thought process. So to me, basically, when I started learning the tricks and trades about the business or the analytics as such, because the word analytics was known to us some few years back, rather maybe 10 to 15 years back, and it was just a budding career and at that time. But then when it comes to the word business, okay, so to me, rather, I was initially, in my initial part, I was always confused between what is BI and what is BA, like what is business intelligence and what is business analytics. So these two terms initially I found people using interchangeably. Uh, but then when we started working on it, because being a mathematics person, I always felt that business intelligence is a subset of business analytics or vice versa. So I always used to think that what is the umbrella term basically. So if we want to really understand that what intelligence means and what analytics means, then one has to really see. So traditionally, when you look at the business intelligence, it has been defined as the use of data which is being collected and which is being used to manage the day-to-day operational management for the business. In business intelligence tools and the experts, they want to collect and store the data about the current operations, and whatever it is being used, it is for the present day transactions. So basically in business intelligence, whatever the data is being collected is being used to work on today, that is for the business the present to tackle the present situations. And analytics, I found that analytics is basically when the prediction was attached to it, then basically we are into the descriptive analytics and then the diagnostic analytics, and now we have the more open field is being coming up, and which when it was being linked with artificial intelligence and machine learning, then the prediction or the predictive analytics has come into existence. So to me, the analytics is basically where the data is being collected, used, and it is for the future purpose. So with this initial thoughts, I felt that initially itself, I don't know whether the students would like to know that whether I should go to BI or whether I should go to BA. So if any comment other panelists would like to make, I am handing over to you.
Sure. Thanks, ma'am. CB sir, you would like to take this
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Prashant Bhabarkar, for creating the context of this discussion. And first of all, I express my gratitude and thanks to the Institute of Management Development and Research for inviting me and be part of these activities. And I also welcome all the students present over here for this brief discussion. And from a person from a mathematics, computer science, machine learning background to moved into business analytics and data science area, we could be able to discuss this idea of the profile of a business analyst or data scientist, collectively we call, can be from two different approaches, can be from two different angles. One is a business professional who uses the data on a daily basis, and he or she learns tools and technique as part of the job and gradually becoming a business analyst or a data scientist. Or other, a technical person, maybe a programmer or a developer or a statistician, or who are professionally trained to use the data, but never got good opportunity to deal with the domain in a specific environment. And once you get into the field of that organization or a business and try to get a better clarity about the business processes and use one's own already learned tools and techniques for the betterment of the organization or the better decision making. Therefore, we have these two different ways of looking at data scientist or a business analyst. That means business person MBAs, conventional MBAs, learning the tools and techniques and implementing or incorporating that tools and techniques and becoming a business analyst or data scientist, or a technical person knowing the business and utilize that expertise in that particular field. This has been the situation for a couple of decades, but gradually, maybe from the last 10 years plus, and these two different domains are merging together. That means nowadays, a business professional is expected to know the tools and techniques of data science, and also a technical person, whether it is a statistician or a machine learning professional or a computer science, is expected to know how the business is running. Then that is the relevance of a course like, say, business analytics in diploma program or postgraduate diploma program or MBA program. That is the relevance of this. And gradually, the tools and techniques which require lots of mathematics and statistics, now it is becoming much more user-friendly, and any common layman, even with a basic qualification, could be able to make a career out of it. I think that is the relevance. From that aspect, the students those who have joined this particular course, I think you have taken a very good decision at the, correct time. With that introductory note, I just hand over to Dr. Prashant. Take over.
Yeah. Thanks, Sivi sir. I think you summarized things very well, and I can echo that from my own experience of working in IT for last 20 years. So 10-15 years back, when we used to have discussions with business, then they were never interested in hearing about how we are going to do certain things. They would say, okay, this is my business requirement. I don't care what you do. Just make sure that I get the results. But today, when we talk to our customers, they are very keen to know about how we are achieving things. They are not looking at information technology as a black box anymore. They want to actively participate in the discussions, and they also don't expect the technology person to only know the technology. They expect the technology person to be able to communicate with them in their language, in business terms. So the whole paradigm through which the way the programs were getting executed 10-15 years back and the way they are getting executed today, they are radically different. So then we used to follow the standard SDLC models for running the programs. Today it's all done in an agile mode, where everybody is working in a collaborative manner, be a technical person, be a business person, be a tester. They all work together to make things happen. So as sir rightly said, earlier it used to be a clear division between a bowler and a batsman, that either you know a domain or you know a technology. Today everybody is expected to be an all-rounder with expertise in one area and good awareness in the other. So either you could be a bowling all-rounder with expertise in technology, or maybe you are a batting all-rounder with expertise in batting, but you also need to bowl. So as sir rightly said, earlier it used to be a clear wall between the two roles, but now that wall is blurring. So it's more or less now these roles are getting merged. A very nice thoughts, Seema madam, to start this conversation, and I'm sure students are going to hear many more good things as a part of this discussion. So to take this discussion forward, many times since it's a continuation of the same topic that we have been talking about, many times students who are enrolling into the courses like MBA not necessarily come from an engineering background, and they many times have a concern about whether I will get engrossed in doing something at a coding level rather than learning something at a conceptual level. So what has been your experience when dealing with such kind of things, which you can guide students when they can take up into these specializations?
Okay.
Shall I take it?
Yeah, sir.
Yeah. See, your question is quite valid, and as you very nicely put it in with respect to the cricketing language, bowler and the batsman and all-rounder is the person. And if you have a prior expertise in one faculty, that would be great. And with respect to your question about how you will be able to incorporate the people from different backgrounds, a typical MBA program in business analytics maybe having students from a hardcore technical background, mostly engineers or statistical people with statistics or mathematics background, and other crowd is basically the students with the commerce, management, BBA, BMS, that type of different versions of commerce. Then when we have a typical MBA program, obviously around 50% of the course is structured around conventional MBA, management subjects, and around 50% on new age technologies, specializing on data science paradigm. Then what foremost we require is that whether one person is from an engineering background or a commerce or related area, and what is the basic aptitude or basic requirement is that some sort of a what I could say the data literacy. When you say data literacy, the liking for a data and to understand data as a resource, and data is by itself may not be giving etc may not be able to give any concrete idea, but just like in alphabets, 26 alphabets are there, they may not be giving individually much of a concrete idea, but when a very good writer uses that 26 letters in a very creative fashion, great literature is produced. On the similar way, data may be available across different platforms in different parts of the organizational processes, but what that data is trying to say, what exactly the inherent the secret or inherent story that data is trying to convey, and that is that. Am I audible? Any issues?
Yes, you are
No,
audible.
sir. We are able to hear you.
Yeah. Data is trying to convey. How will be able to take that data outside? Some sort of an inquiry mind, some curiosity, some creativity, and that is what most important. And tools and technique automatically will be acquired, and that is what my experience with working with the students from top end engineering colleges as well as the top end commerce colleges, irrespective whatever their background is, one should have a basic liking for the data and to have some sort of curiosity about what that data is trying to convey to us. I think that only is needed. Remaining is by default, it will emerge.
Yeah. Seema ma'am?
Yeah. As CB sir has put it correctly, to me also it is basically the liking for data. But then besides liking for data, so because liking the data just for the sake of it may not be, but then they should realize when they are going to do the course in business analytics, they will know that the increased use of the huge kind of data or big data across all the sectors is basically basically to drive the change and facilitate the decision making process. So when the usage or the use of data for decision making process, when that linking is established, then the students of management programs, they really enjoy. So that was my experience when I used to teach the MBA professionals, or still I am teaching the MBA professionals, because if you see carefully, the first time ever when this program was introduced by Harvard Business School, then I was just looking at, maybe it is few years back. So it was basically that the program was designed for the aspiring and current leaders who are interested in advancing their analytical skills. And for what they want to advance their analytical skill, to bring the change or to boost the innovation using data. So when you are going to make use of data, then you will learn to analyze, you will learn to interpret, and you will learn to translate the data so that ultimately it will be connected to the strategic decisions which are going to take up in the highest level of your organization. So as we proceed, one should understand that it is not basically understanding or liking the data. you are taking that data to link it with the decision making process, and that is where your expertise is going to count at a I mean it will be counted very much within the organization. That's all.
Yeah. I think to summarize, I think the both points are very valid. I think essentially what we are trying to convey is it is not mandatory that you need to have an engineering background to be a good data
Yes.
scientist. It is about you understanding and feeling the data, as sir rightly said. Can you find out some story that data is trying to tell you? And as ma'am said, that about how do I use the data in my decision making? Because eventually, as a manager, that's what my key role is going to be.
Yes.
How well I show my how well I'm able to utilize my data to be able to make more appropriate decisions in a timely manner, which will help my business. So that's end of day is going to be the objective for all the managers, upcoming managers who are going to complete the course and join the industry and play that kind of a role. So thanks both of you for sharing your insights. Actually, a few days back, actually, I was having a discussion and we were part of a panel. We were discussing about the overlooming challenges of skill gap, right? Various surveys, especially the International Labour Organization, which published one survey in 2019. In 2020, because of COVID, I think they haven't published yet in 2021, the 2020 data. But it actually showed some alarming signals for India. It talked about nearly 50 by 2030, around 29 million skill deficit jobs would be there in India, is what they have projected. That means that while on one end we are talking about uh, the need of high skilled labor to be made available for the industry, but at the same time, are we ready to fill those many gaps? Because even in 2019, the report suggested nearly 50% of high skilled jobs they were not fulfilled, right? So while there are one end there are opportunities, other end industry is not able to find suitable people who can actually fulfill those roles. So I think the step like introducing right courses like data analytics is one step which institute is taking in order to bridge that gap. So what has been your experience around this, about what different other things we can align along with it as a part which student can also try on from their end, in addition to what institute is trying to do?
I think the higher education industry in India is going through some challenging phase, especially public funded university system, affiliated colleges system is going through, at least for the last 20, 30 years, going through some difficult times. And to a certain extent, private institution could be able to found that there is a big demand for the new end courses and could be able to identify the potentials and could correspondingly tailor the courses to the requirement of it. But considering our India is such a huge country with a youth population, a substantial, huge population, and having only limited number of private institutes, and that too catering only to certain segment of the society in terms of economics and social background. And I think we have to have a long way to go in order to meet this. What are the gap we find is that maybe we'll be able to have graduates and postgraduates with the proper qualification. But what we lack is that whatever the requirement of the industry, and in order to cater to the requirement, whatever the output of the universities may not be able to match it. And we are woefully, our education system unfortunately could not be able to take this challenge because of various reasons. And to a certain extent, private institutes in India are taking this challenge and taking it forward. And that is the reason why the courses like business analytics or data science, etc., you don't see it in a private universities or government funded institutes. Most probably in private funded universities and institutes we could be able to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, truly it is that is the state. But then students on their own can bridge this gap by acquiring some skills on their own. So the first and the foremost is, as Sir he has put it correctly, that one has to understand about what that data means and from where it can be collected. So when it comes to data, if you are the graduate of any discipline, let it be, but then you must understand that when it is related to banking or it is related to insurance sector or whether it is related to retail sector. Prior to that, the cricket matches already there was a reference. So there used to be a data related to the league or the cricket matches or the football matches and so on. So slowly we can start looking at the data and primarily what this data tells you. Okay, so when you look at the data, if you are sharp enough, then it tells always something to you. And if you start gaining that insight when by looking just at the data, that okay, there are columns, there are some rows, and then there is some relationship between those rows and columns, and if some values are repeating or some values are not repeating and so on. So you can have at least from your side, you can start looking at the data in a more meaningful way, because it is already said that the data without any context, it is just a raw information. So when I attach a context to it, then it becomes a proper data or proper process data. And one that process data is there and I try to understand, then it gives me certain kind of knowledge. And we always use that knowledge to get the wisdom. So we always know the cycle or the progression from the raw information to the wisdom. So when it is going there as a student, you can start looking at the data in a more meaningful way. Once you start looking at the data in a more meaningful way, then you can acquire some techniques that, okay, I want to hide certain kind of information, then how I can hide it. If I want to show only some parameters out of the entire set of 100 parameters, I don't want to study 100 parameters, but I should study only a handful of parameters. Then how to hide those kind of parameters? Then if I do that, then what exactly the result can be? And now, I mean, if you start just with Excel, then also you can have this kind of insights to you. Rather, you will be able to understand, okay, there are certain kind of variables whose values are numbers. There are certain kind of columns whose values are only, they are in terms of the language terms and so on. So at least these kind of observations, if you start making, then slowly you will get the liking for the data. And as our experience says, data is just, I mean, it is a Pandora box. To me, it is a lot of information is being conveyed by this kind of data. And when it comes to you see, for this, you don't need any kind of course or any kind of skill and so on. It is just inquisitive mind, or it is the quest for the information which drives you to see the data in a more meaningful way. So that is one thing you can certainly do it. And to start with any simple spreadsheet or Excel kind of software, you can start with it. And Excel also do work in a very wonderful way. It allows you to, so how I can represent this data in a pictorial manner. That also you can learn, that whether I want to, so there is a huge kind of information. I don't want to go through all those numbers and the words. I just want one figure, because one figure speaks everything about the huge kind of numbers and words. So how I can put it in a pictorial way, or how I can put it in a graphical way, and I can just at once or at a glance, I can convey certain kind of information. So this kind of techniques or this kind of methods you can learn on your own, and for that you don't need anybody. That is what. And if you are able to do that, doing a business analytics course, or taking up this as the elective, it will be just it will be just an extension, and it will be a natural way to take up business analytics as a course.
Yeah. Actually, ma'am summarized it very well at the end. And what CB sir was talking about is in that line that some of the esteemed universities like IMDR is in a position to offer these new courses. And I think people who are getting that kind of an opportunity need to grab those, because these are the ones which are the roles which are going to be in higher demand in coming years. They are already in demand today, and if we look at the trends, that demand is only going to grow. Uh, uh, with India being more moving into service-oriented job creation, I think opportunities and the roles for these kind of skills is only going to expand every passing day. So those who are getting an opportunity, as ma'am said, that is something which I was about to ask as a next question, but ma'am has already answered about what are all things you can do as a prerequisite. So it is not necessarily that you always need to have a qualification in a particular area before you do that, but there are many things which you can even try on your own just to gear up. If you are planning to take up this as a specialized course, then what will help you to make it more smoother entry into that space by just purely removing all the barriers which you may have in your mind about what if I do not have an engineering background. That is, as CB sir has already explained us and also added by ma'am, it is not really a prerequisite for you to be an engineer. What is needed is your ability to think, your ability to analyze, your ability to look at data to find out a story from it, right? So it is something which every manager needs to do irrespective of what background you have. But is there anything specifically, sir or ma'am, you would like to add in whatever your ma'am have already covered at length, but is there anything any one of you would like to add what they should do even before they start this course on their end? Anything addition to what ma'am has already covered?
And especially if there are any students, those who are from a commerce background, I just address their inherent issues. Especially students from a commerce background, they fear to a certain extent the programming or coding. And in order to become a successful business analyst or a data scientist, to a certain level of programming, at least elementary level of programming will help. But the way the machine learning progresses or data science technologies move, and we may not require much of a programming skill when you become a professional, because most of the new end softwares are much more user friendly, and by just clicking and by taking the mouse here and there, you could be able to get the result. Therefore, even if one doesn't have any programming background, still one could be able to make a good career out of data science or business analysis. That is what my gut feeling is.
Yeah.
That is very reassuring for students.
Right.
Yeah, ma'am, go ahead.
No, actually it is correct. Basically, because when I learned my business analysis from IBM, actually my trainer was a zoology graduate, actually. And from zoology, he has migrated over the time. He has migrated to the business or predictive analytics. So because I mean, it was out of curiosity, I asked the person that what is your background, and to my surprise, he said that do you know from where I come from? So he said I am a MSc in zoology, and then I migrated because of the interest, because working on some biological data, he got interested in data analysis. And we have some examples also, like I remember one doctor is there, I don't remember his name, but he was a medico professional, I think Nitin Joshi or something. I mean, I don't remember the name. But then, though he was a medical practitioner, because of the medical data and because of that data was coming already, he started working as a data analyst. And he left completely his job of the medical profession. And he has, so it is basically, as you, my point in telling you is, whatever is your background is about, whether you are from commerce background, whether it is the economics or arts background, or statistics background, mathematics background, non-mathematics background, whatever it is. Once you get the interest, your basic qualification takes a backseat. That is what I feel. Because see here, as a student of science or as a student of management, when we are introduced to literature, how we take it? initially we feel that, okay, we don't have to, I mean, I don't have any words to comment when somebody asks me the opinion about some social or political phenomena and so on. But as you start taking the interest, then you are able to opine, and that is how the process starts. So whatever it is your background, you are slowly introduced to the nice idea, which, or the, as I said, whatever the information is coming to you, without, the process is like that, that without knowing, the information starts coming to you, and when it starts giving you the insights, then you start getting curious about the data, whichever the data is coming to you. So in the meantime, actually, again, one advice I will give, that if the students start searching that where are the data repositories, because there is another area where the world is asking for the data. So there are some data repositories where you are going to bound to get the data. Okay, so data is not only, it is basically you have to collect the data and so on, but there can be certain amount of secondary data repositories are already available, and people every second of this, people are putting their, so universal resource laboratory is there, we know the AWS, that is Amazon Web Services, they have their own kind of data they are preserving and so on. So if students start, when they are discussing the case studies and so on, they themselves can take up the case study with the data, so that they will be able to gel that whatever the decision making or whatever the problem solving they want to do for a business problem, they will get the answer by handling the data. So these are some small things. If they start doing it, they will really enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's all.
So basically, since all my student friends, what we are getting from both of these stalwarts is that there is no really you need to fear about what your background is. What
Yes.
you need to have is to have a zeal to learn, right? And if you can use this opportunity to expand your knowledge base, that is something which is going to take you to a different zone altogether. You obviously will have to work hard. Nothing comes easy. The more interest you show, more willingness you show to garner, furnish your more information what is available from different sources and how you can do that, and that is what we have seen being done in the industry day in day out, right? So people who join industry, it is not expected that they know everything, but what is at least expected from them is whatever they have learned so far, have they really understood? Because whatever they are going to learn now, will they be able to apply? They will be using that information as a benchmark to do that. I think thanks both of you for sharing so much insight. I think many students have a lot of questions, so I will not take more time, and maybe I will hand over to students to ask more questions what they may have in addition to what we have already discussed so far.
Thank you so much. Heartily thank all the three panelists. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for your such a wonderful piece of knowledge. Now I would request all the students to please raise their hand and ask their questions. Yes, Pushkar, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Ma'am, if we have to start programming, as you know, we are all from commerce background. We don't know anything about programming, so we have to start from scratch. So, how can we start and get at least a decent level, like not like the students who are doing engineering in computer science, but at least basic of programming?
So, Sibi sir, would you like to?
No, you may please start. You may please take it.
No, basically, see, don't go by the word program or code. Basically, what it is a simple English-like language. You have to remember certain kind of words. So whenever you are understanding or when you are learning certain kind of instruction, let us see, it is the instructions to the computer. They are not programs. Okay, so in that instruction set, you will have certain kind of keywords, and those keywords will have their meaning. Like for example, if I say print, then print means it is going to be printed. So naturally, it is not going to be printed on the printer, but then it will be printed on the screen and so on. So always, whenever you are looking at, don't look at the program or the code in a technical sense. Basically, it is the dialogue which you are going to establish with the machine. So when you are going to establish the dialogue with the machine, you will require that kind of syntax. Like for example, when in our childhood, when we are taught certain kind of language, then how we are taught? We are taught from the alphabets. Then from the alphabets, we learn how to prepare the words. From the words, we start constructing the sentences. Then after the sentences, we try putting the punctuation marks or the grammatical things and so on. So it is exactly the same process whenever you want to learn any programming language or any type of instruction set. So you will see every programming language has got its instruction set. Then whatever this character set or instruction set is going to come from, they will be coming from, see, we have English letters A, B, C, D, and we have 9 numbers, 10 numbers, 0 to 9. So whatever the words or whatever the characters, they will be coming from only those 26 alphabets and 10 numbers. So from where they are going to be, and maybe you will be having certain kind of punctuation marks. So according to me, learning programming language is not at all difficult. It is basically you are trying to learn certain kind of words, and then as I said, as we learn how to speak grammatically correct. So putting the things grammatically correct is in programming languages, it is called as you are putting the things in a syntactically correct manner. That every language has got its own syntax. Okay, so once you understand and where the sentence is to be end and where I should begin and so on. So that is how one has to take it. Don't take it as a programming language or some big technical word. It is not at all, I mean, difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what ma'am is, sorry, sir, go ahead. Sibi, sir, go ahead.
No, okay. If the question is with respect to how to start the programming, and the thing is that, my dear young friend, you are very lucky. You could be able to start, if you are absolutely zero, you can start with a very user-friendly language like Python. Myself and Dr. Seema Purohit belong to a generation wherein which we learn programming without having a computer. In fact, my dear young friends, I first learned programming language around 30 years back as part of my MSc curriculum. There was a paper called Programming in Fortran. In my life, I failed in a paper first time because I did not know what this programming is. And we have to write programs on the paper. We never had any computer. We have not seen the computer. Then I became a so-called computer scientist now. Therefore, don't worry about it. Therefore, it is part and parcel of the journey. You start, you are lucky, you are fortunate that you have much more user-friendly programming, wherein which just like a language you talk, computer could be able to connect with you and could be tutor you to make it much more effective.
Yes.
Thank you. It is all about understanding algorithms. That is what is more important than worrying about programming, because once you understand the context, representation is a relatively easiest part. Right? And it is, and in today's world there are so many floaters available which can help you to do that work very fast. So really, please don't have any what I should say as a barrier in your mind that, oh, programming means I need to do something big out of the world. No, it is not the case. It's more about, can you logically think? Can you write an algorithm? Can you solve something on a paper? If you can always write a program. It is just a practice that you need. Beyond that.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Amlan, I would request you to unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yes, thank you, Ankita. So my question is that it is very specific to the marketing domain. So how well would an analytics course complement the marketing domain, and what kind of job roles can we expect as a after combining marketing and analytics as a specialization?
Okay. See here, basically, we already know that from our service life cycle management to the supply chain management, and from enterprise resource planning to customer relationship. So every day the volume of data is being created. And when it comes to the marketing analytics, analytics is again a very vast domain where you will try to understand that what are the customer needs at present, what were the in past, and what it is going to be there in the future. So if you are going to understand your customer very well, then designing the marketing strategy. So for that you will require certain kind of data, because as I said, every activity is going to give you certain kind of data. So when you want to understand really the market is about, rather a market research is a very big lucrative area where people constantly need some inputs from market researchers. And when it comes to the market researchers, if you know your business analyst techniques or tools very well, then getting the inputs from the market is, it will be really an added advantage.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. So next question is from my side. I'm Ankita from PGDM1. So ma'am, my question is, like, I'll be opting for the specialization of marketing as major, and then I'll be pursuing as business analytics as my minor. So what are the expectations? I mean, what industry would expect me to do? Like, I don't want a desk job from 9 to 5, or I am not at all good with numbers. Now I am good at numbers because of my teachers. They are really great. So like, I don't want all the numbers or data to be thrown on me like anything. So what would you suggest me, or how should I expect my job roles to be?
Okay, so yeah, you don't want to throw yourself into data jargon and so on.
Yes,
Okay. Then basically maybe you can go more on to see. It is not only technical specifications, or it is not only the handling the data and so on. So beyond that data, so you can have your own what you can say, technical person who is going to give you, but then you will get a dashboard. So at least if you are able to see the dashboard, because dashboard is one board which allows you to see everything in one particular screen. So if you get your expertise, because you know the business domain very well, so at least see, if you know the business domain very well, then you will see the connection. So whatever the insights for which the data needs to be collected, whatever the observations of the data, you will be connect with your business domain. So if you are expert in connecting the knowledge or connecting the decision which is coming out of the data to your business, then that is also good. Because see, there are very few people who will see that, okay, this data has told me something, but how I am going to connect this knowledge with my data, with my business domain. So even see, there are at two levels, right? There is a data, huge data is there. The persons who are very much interested in numbers, then handling the data, they are going to process the data and so on. Okay, so they will be primarily interested in working on the data. They may not be interested in working on the how to connect this data with the business domain. That's why, see, initially itself I started with the discussion that what intelligence, business intelligence, and where the analytics starts. So to me, whatever the technical realities are there. So if, see, in an organization, you have already the bifurcation, or we have already, though it is expected that the person who knows the business domain must know the techniques to handle the data. But as you grow up the ladder, slowly the analytics part or the data handling part is done by somebody, but you must know how to connect whatever the decision or whatever the knowledge which is given me by the data to connect with your business domain. So if you are able to do that, then I think that is also, it will be a good area where you can start working on it.
Shall I add one thing to
Yes.
what Madam has said?
Please.
And suppose, young friend, you are a manager of a big multinational company, and suppose you are heading a Western region, and suppose you do not know anything about data, but at least you know what are your products and what are your competitors, how the sales is taking place, and which district more sales is coming. You could be able to ask the right questions.
Yes.
Once you ask the right questions, the person who is supposed to give the data could be able to deliver in the correct answer in terms of graph, in terms of pictorial representation, in terms of direct reporting to you. And that is what the beauty of data is. Either you directly handling the data by yourself and you take the decision by yourself, or you go up directly. And
ask
you
the question.
To ask somebody to, Baba, give me the data. This is what I want. And you could be able to make a business decisions.
Absolutely, absolutely. But one friendly suggestion: please do not have any bottleneck in your mind that I am not good with numbers. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
You have to make friendship with numbers, because whether you do analysis on your own or whether you ask somebody else to use to do certain analysis, as ma'am said rightly, right, to marry those things together, you will have to look at those numbers. There is no run away from that. So please try to remove that bottleneck. Sorry,
yes,
sir.
Yes, yes.
I just start in this case by choosing this particular field. You are marrying data science, and don't say that I don't love other part.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir, for your suggestions. I'll definitely look toward it. CB, sir, I have one more question.
Yeah.
So my question is, how different do you see business analytics and data analytics domain? What are the major difference between both of them?
See, data analytics in a much more an umbrella language. For example, I mean, COVID. You know, COVID cases coming up every day. You see the graphs going up, going down. The policies are taken. All these dashboards provided by whether WHO or the PPT slides provided by the central government every day at 4:30. Press meeting, etc. All these data are nothing but the outcome of proper research done by people on that particular data. Therefore, it is a data science. That means the tool could be able to be applied in any domain. But business, that tools and techniques we are using only in the business domain, that becomes a business analyst. It is applied anywhere else, it becomes a data scientist. Therefore, you could be able to say business analyst is nothing but a subset of the data science in whole together.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. So in industry term, when we talk about a data science scientist or the analyst becomes more of a horizontal role. It is you can do it across all verticals, be it retail, be it finance, be it manufacturing. But when you talk about business analyst, the role needs to have a good intensive domain knowledge. So it is not very easy for somebody who is playing a business analyst role in a financial space to become a good analyst in the manufacturing space. It is not easy to do, right? So as compared to that, data analyst can relatively move from one domain to another domain relatively easily, because the expectations are different. So when you're talking about business analyst, you are expected to have a good in-depth knowledge of domain, and you are able to utilize technology to make the decisions for your business. As sir was giving you example about the COVID, the person who is coming up with dashboards may not have any idea about what does that mean, right? Whether that number going up is good or number going down is good. That also that person may not know, and it is okay if they don't. But they need to be able to represent data such a way that person who knows will be able to interpret that data correctly. So that is the difference.
Correct.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Madhura, I would request you to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. So my question is, how will knowledge of analytics help me in a career of HR domain? And my second question is, actually, I have a background of computer science. So I am a BSc computer science graduate, but somehow coding was a bit difficult part for me at that time. So can you suggest something?
See, HR analytics is one of the area which is coming up in a big way, and it is dealing with not only the services, retention, other policies to be taken by the HR management, HR agencies, or even to recruit the correct people based on the skill set, etc., from a huge collection of data, or which is scattered in different platforms, then all these require, we could be able to utilize the data science tools and techniques. Therefore, having a computer science background, there is always an added advantage. Therefore, the person learning a tools, data science tools and techniques from a commerce background, learning tools and techniques, and you are learning is already, you know, whether you like it or not, you have been bombarded with all these tools and techniques for the last 3 years. Therefore, in your subconscious mind is there, but only thing is that you will be utilizing the tools and techniques which your teacher never asked you to do, but you are doing in an entirely different field of domain. That might interest you. Therefore, young friend, my suggestion would be that don't hate, just retain it, but you could be able to utilize the same thing in an entirely interesting new area.
Yes. And it is basically used in, see, you must be doing training need analysis, TNA. Okay. In your training need analysis also, you require to map certain kind of parameters from one particular domain to other, or when you are doing the competency matching. Okay. So there are some job roles and you are doing competency matching. So in that also, it is, I mean, very useful in HR analytics. These are the areas where you will be really contributing to the organization.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Amol, I would request you to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ankita. Good afternoon, everyone. So, sir and ma'am, my question is there any fixed or ideal roadmap for business analytics career?
Can you repeat the question, Amol? I didn't get the question correctly.
Sir, is there any or what is the roadmap for business analytics career?
Dr. Prashant, would you like to take it, since you are from much more industry background? Would you like to take that question?
Yes. As sir was telling you, right? When we talk about analytics, it opens multiple doors for you, right? So how you want to leverage what you are learning as a part of business analytics skills, in which way, is something which is going to drive you how you go. So it is not about that whether you want to move towards more getting into data related activities, as what, or the other way of what ma'am was suggesting about whether you want to go more into a domain vertical movement where you will be leveraging data or leveraging other people's skills to do some background work for you to be able to use that data to make decisions. So it is up to you which way you want to proceed. There are ample opportunities, and as I was telling you, giving you the statistics about the skill gap, it is primarily going to be in these areas. So it is going to have a lot of opportunities for people with good skills, and that is what that's what I repeat for my students as well, which I'm quoting here again. Please don't only look for certification. Please look for knowledge which comes along with it. Certification, there are ample number of people who come along with a degree certificate, but how much do they know? That is what is differentiating them from others. So whatever you choose, there is absolutely no limit. When you go out, if you are able to demonstrate your abilities, sky is the limit for you.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. And I also have another question. That is business analytics job good in terms of remuneration and opportunities, sir?
Very much. It is a
Thank you.
really, it is really a very lucrative career, because as sir has put correctly, that in almost all the domains, whether it is marketing domain, whether it is hospitality, or whether it is manufacturing industry, or whether it is real estate, you take up any area. Nowadays, what has happened is the data will be there. So whatever the domain you are going to take up, and you will be always in the close vicinity of your higher ups, because basically you will be trying to give the knowledge to them for the decision making. So naturally, the job opportunity which is close to the higher ups always draws the more salary. So that will be, I mean, whether it is the corporate finance or whether it is a social sector or whether it is healthcare or whether it is operations, whatever it will be always a lucrative job, because it is not only handling just the data, because there are data entry operators or there are certain kind of other people also they are doing, but you are a management student, and that is a very good combination, that you are able to understand the business domain, and then you are able to try to establish, you are able to link between the knowledge which is gaining out of the data and the business domain. So that will be a very good part, and always it will be the job which is going to be lucrative. Other big companies you must have searched also, like ranging from McKinsey to Accenture to IBM to the any kind of industry. You can just Google it and just see the variety of industries are asking for the business analyst job.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It is always about demand supply, right? So since this is a niche skill, will have a very limited supply. Obviously, is going to carry a premium, and they are obviously those who are good in that space definitely are going to be remunerated more than the general skill.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Digvijay, I would request you to unmute yourself and ask the question.
Thank you, Ankita. Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir. So my question is, what are the skills required to target a good fintech company or fintech industry in general?
Okay, my understanding is that in order to, if we have already identified fintech as your, area of interest, obviously one is expected that you have a proper, strong background in the finance as a domain. Also, the data science tools and techniques specifically utilized for the fintech. In terms of predictive analytics tool, and if you have a certain degree of machine learning or some sort of a deep learning technique like LSTM, etc., that is the current trend, and that would be of a great advantage. Therefore, domain understanding, nobody should question about the concepts of finance, and you should be able to deliver that. I will be able to give more leverage than a finance person, because I will be bringing the analytics background too. Therefore, strong emphasis on finance plus analytics.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Ankita, in the interest of time, how many more questions can we take? Because I think we have already crossed the time.
So there are
3 questions. Sir, 3 questions are there.
Okay.
Can we take? Yeah, just 3 questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Abdul, I request you to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, thank you. My question is, like, being a non-tech guy and taking marketing as a major, what should be the first step to kickstart the career in a market research concerning analytics?
Madam, would you like to take?
Yeah, actually, you have to start with a problem. Okay, so identify any problematic situation is there or not. Okay, so once you identify there is a problematic situation, then related to this problematic situation, you have to start. Because when you do market research, then you have to understand the whatever the situation is there in the market about your data. Like, for example, I can give you the example about if you are marketing certain kind of product. Okay, so if I'm going to, okay, I will give you one example that when Bajaj, okay, used to manufacture the scooters. Okay, so when the first time Kinetic Honda, when it came into the market, it was presented as a sturdy model, right? And they have presented this sturdy model in rural areas than the urban areas. Why? Because at that time they have done the market research that the sturdy model, a heavy model, will be selling more in the areas where you have some the roads are not so good, the roads are bumpy roads, and so on and so on. So if you look at, because see, these kind of, I mean, where the market will be for a particular product, that needs to be, that information you will be getting from the people who are residing in a particular region. So when the people are residing in a particular region, and when you go to them with your questionnaire and you start asking the questions. So preparation of a good questionnaire, which is going to give you the proper responses, so that you can derive certain kind of marketing strategy. So that will be a process which is going to be. So when you are going to start with a market research, one must know that whatever the problem, like for example, I want to market a particular product in both the areas, whether it is in rural areas or in the urban areas. Then when it comes to rural areas, what points I should be pressing more, and when the same product I am going to launch it in the urban areas, then which point I should raise more. So this kind of information you will be getting from the data, but you will be getting from the surveys, when you are going to take the interviews from people and so on. So that's why here basically the research methodology is also one component which comes into existence when you go to the business or the analytics part. So what kind of methodology you are going to employ, that one has to understand. And if you can start learning that which kind of area I should go with what question. So even see here, there are some experts who will teach you. Rather, I am requesting the IMDR authorities that if you teach them how to prepare a proper questionnaire, because everything, whatever the data which is going to be collected through the questionnaire is going to be used for making certain kind of important decisions. So if your questions, because I often see whenever rather myself and CB sir both, when we go to assess the projects, whether it is a research project or whatever it is, then I always feel that the questions, so many questions, because it is their final presentation. So, I mean, we don't utter a word, but then at that time, sitting as an expert, we realize that these questions are totally wrong, because their objective was something else. And the questions framing is being done in such a manner that it is not going to answer, or it is not going to give them the valid responses, because those responses are going to give them the whatever the answer which is going to be. So if they can be taught how to frame the questions to collect the data, as I said, because the data can be a primary data. So all those things you will be taught in either your statistics part or either your research methodology part, that there can be a data which you are going to collect it, and the data which will be already there on the web. Here both ways they should be taught, that how to collect the primary data, and once that primary data is being collected, whether it is connected to their problem definition or the objective what they are going to achieve. And secondly, if there is a secondary data, then they must know that it is relevant to their problem. So in both ways they should be taught, that if they are using already for their pilot study or whatever it is, they are using some secondary data, then they must know the authenticity of the data, who have collected the data, for what purpose the data is being collected, and so on. Many times it happens that the data is collected for some other purpose and you are using for some other purpose. So that gap should not be, it becomes so glaring if a person has not given the attention to that kind of data. So I think seriously, IMDR authorities, I request you, if you can just give, not only for business analysts, even for other students also, it will be very useful. That's all.
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Yeah. Shruti, yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
I think One more person.
Aditya, yes, ma'am. We have two more questions.
Okay.
Aditya, I would request you to unmute yourself and ask your question.
A very good afternoon to the panel. I'm Aditya. Actually, my question was based on an assumption, so you can correct me if the assumption is wrong, and then I'll ask the second part of it. So, from what I have seen right now and what I've heard about data analytics and business analytics is that the role of a business analyst is greatly influenced by his domain. Like, judging from the questions that were asked for HR, finance, and marketing also. So, is that correct? Was my first
That is
part,
correct.
and
100% correct.
Correct.
okay, so if the assumption is correct, the second part that I wanted to ask you people was that suppose somebody plans to become a consultant, a business analyst consultant who provides his services in a freelance manner or has a startup. So, what tips can you give that person to establish a cross domain or like a cross speciality or niche functionality? Like somebody who can consult on, say, finance projects, also medical projects, also. So, what skills should he look for to get cross-domain functionality or advantage?
Let me add one thing here, Aditya. So first of all, I think we need to be very clear when we are talking about consulting. If we are talking about functional consulting, then the person absolutely need to know that domain very well. If you're talking about technical consulting related to data analytics, then yes, possibly you can do that cross-functional consulting relatively easily because your core skill or core expectations by clients from you would be to bring in your technology expertise. But if I understand correctly, or whatever you are trying to do as a part of an MBA curriculum, I presume that your focus would be more on the domain side. And if that is true, then cross-functional thing would require a team with each individual in the team may be expert in some area, and as a group you can then do that kind of a consulting. But individual person doing cross-functional consulting in data analytics based on the domain part, at least I have not seen that much in the industry, because practically it is very difficult for anybody to be expert in finance as well as in manufacturing, for example.
It's not.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Basically, it comes under that PMP, I mean, project, how to, basically it comes under that project domain, like, that is. Of course, if you have certain kind of knowledge about the data, I mean, it may help.
So we have the last question. Raghav, I would request you to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good afternoon, sir and ma'am. Sir, I wanted to know, sir, whether in MBA do we have any specializations in technical fields like related to data science, like MBA in something related to data science or data analysis or any related course?
If your question is whether we have a specialization in MBA, is that a question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there are. For example, I belong to, says NMIMS. We have MBA specialization in business analytics and data science, and also we have MBA in digital transformation. Therefore, new such things are emerging it out. At least for business analytics is in the field at least for around 8 to 10 years across different countries, and new things are emerging it up. I mean, gradually, I think many things will come up. Just like when we have a computer, when we have engineering started around 50 years back, we had only, civil, electrical, and mechanical. Then electronics came, then computer science came, then IT came. Now, we have the later biomedical came. Now, artificial intelligence is coming, data science is coming. Therefore, I think it is the evolutionary stage.
Absolutely.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So as we see, there are no more questions. All the questions are over. So I would request my colleague Diganta to proceed towards the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Ankita. So it's my honor and privilege to offer a vote of thanks in this occasion. I, Digonto Chakraborty, on behalf of Deccan Education Society, IMDR, would like to convey my sincere gratitude to all the speakers comprising Dr. Seema Purohit, Dr. C.B. Abraham, and Dr. Prashant Vasudev Dopavkar for sharing their graceful words with us in today's meeting and enlightening us on the topic of career prospects in business analytics. It has been our tribute to host all the members, participants of the meeting, and audience in particular. Some notable highlights of today's panel discussion ought to include the two processes of approaching the study of business analytics, that is, from a business professional perspective to the perspective of a technician who wants to enhance the technical efficiency of an organization, as mentioned by Dr. C.B. Abraham, sir. Another vital input contributed by Dr. Prashant Dopavkar, sir, was the change in the trends of the requirement of employee skills as mostly an all-rounder possessing knowledge of technical domain along with management skills is the need of the hour. Also, upcoming data analytics professionals and students who are pursuing business analytics need to link data with decision-making process as it will help them to blend and enjoy their forthcoming profession. Surely a notable statement brought up by Seema Purohit ma'am. She also highlighted the responsibility of students to enhance their skill set by themselves and through constant curiosity, as it is very imperative for polishing analytical knowledge, since it takes time for a person to possess the insight that can drive someone to the heights of prosperity in a professional career. These pieces of information are extremely valuable and helpful for us in our future corporate endeavor. So thank you once again to all the panelists. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Now, I would also like to thank our director, ma'am, the faculty, the non-teaching staff for constantly encouraging and supporting us in respect of such corporate connect. I thank the entire student organizing team, the technical support, and last but not the least, all my student colleagues, without whom this session wouldn't have been successful. Thanks.
Thank you, Diganto. I would just like to add, personally and on behalf of IMDR, I would like to thank each of the panelists, Dr. Seema ma'am, Dr. Abraham sir, and Dr. Prashant Dopavkar sir for making this event really possible and accepting our invite. I think the objective of the panel discussion, which was helping students to take their decision regarding this elective, has been met, and a lot of gray area around this as one of the specialization has been dusted off. So they would be now in a better position to take this decision, and all those who have already taken a decision would be rest assured that they have taken the right decision to opt for this elective. So thank you once again, all the panelists. Also, there are certain DES staff, guest members, and student guests who have joined, who are from outside of IMDR. I thank all of them for joining us today, and I hope the session was useful to all of you. So thank you very much once again. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.